Hello, friends. It is good to be back now that the Chagim are over and we are sort of back in full swing. Today is Friday, October 23rd, the fifth day of Cheshvan. Again, I hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful Yontif season. I know that all the hard work and tremendous efforts by everyone involved made it not only meaningful and memorable, but I think also uniquely special given the circumstances. And when I look back, and though it was exhausting, it was certainly so worthwhile. So I hope that we will not take our foot off the gas at this point, so to speak, and we have to move forward. Again, we have a whole new season, so to say, of programming, of classes available. I ask everyone to participate. You saw the email that went out last week about helping us out with our minyanim, coming to classes, new virtual programming, and even in this format, again, those who would like to sponsor a daily video, by all means, please do so in memory and honor, in just because it's Tuesday. It's a great way to support your shul. But we'll also be creating other types of programming, nothing to do with sponsorships, but something just a way to hopefully keep everyone connected, certainly those that are not yet ready to come back to shul. But we have Baruch Hashem, we have Shabbos services, we have Simchas coming up, we have a ton of bar mitzvahs that are happening, and this is this bumper crop we've spoken about for a number of years, and it is here upon us. I'm very excited already, beginning with this Shabbos, as we'll celebrate the bar mitzvah of Shane Sitchenbaum. Our sponsor today for our video is Barbara Berger. Barbara Berger is sponsoring, and I when she reached out to me, I couldn't believe it. She said it's been 5 years since Yitzhak passed away. Yitzhak's yahrzeit is actually going to be observed tonight and tomorrow on Shabbos, on the sixth day of Mar Cheshvan. So this video is in loving memory of Yitzhak Berger, Yitzchak ben Eliyahu Vitzila Halevi. I was in the cemetery in Kinnelon a few weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to visit Yitzchak's kever. And Yitzhak, I had a very special relationship with Yitzhak, and I feel so fortunate that we did have all those special times together, even though I wish it would have been so much longer. And I can only imagine how much more I would have learned from him. So I want to give this Devar Torah in his memory. And Barbara, again, the Neshama should have an aliyah, and you should just enjoy nachas from your children and your grandchildren, and especially that grandson that uncannily looks like him, which is always a great reminder. So we, of course, go through the story of Noach. Noach, each tzaddik, and God creates the world, and God says he wants to destroy the world, and the flood, and the animals, etc. It's great. Our kids are back in school and have wonderful projects, and the teva, beautiful. But we often don't focus on the latter part of the parsha. And the second half of the parsha deals with something called the Dor HaFlaga. That Noach, he comes out of the ark, and he actually goes from being Ish Tzaddik, from being a righteous person, to Ish Adama, which is a precipitous decline in his stock, so to say, in the eyes of God. And we have 10 generations from Noach that get us to Abraham. But in between there, we have something called the Dor HaFlaga, with the building of the Tower of Babel, the Babylonian tower, the Tower of Babel. We mentioned this in the women's class this week, that you probably heard these commercials on the radio for this language software called Babel. But that's where, when somebody babbles, that's where it comes from, the story of the Tower of Babel. And the Torah tells us that everybody was safa achas, lashon achadim. Everybody spoke the same language. Everybody had the same viewpoint. And as a result, they decided, we're going to conquer God. We're going to build a tower. It will reach the heavens. And Chazal fill in the blanks for us, and they tell us that people were not actually very kind to one another. And I think that one of the things that keeps us going as a society, but let's say in the Jewish community, one of the things that keeps us going, which is so super important, is diversity. We have to be able to have different opinions. But we might find that nowadays in our society, it's impossible to have different opinions. And I keep saying this over and over, and just look at the political atmosphere we're in right now, and right before an election, where it's, I'm right and you're crazy. I'm right and you're a racist. I'm right and you're fill in the blank. It's not I'm right and you could also be right, or you can have your opinion, or I disagree with you, I respect that, but that's not what I believe. In Judaism, it's always about respecting someone else's opinion. If anybody's ever studied 3 lines of Talmud in the Gemara, you can't go 4 seconds without a machlokas, without a dispute. We are built on dispute. We're built on having different opinions. We're not always safachas. Yes, we have to be united. We have to be unified in our beliefs, etc. But it doesn't mean that we can't have a difference of opinion. We can't have different perspectives. Everybody's created differently, albeit in the eyes of God, but B'Tselem Elokim. But at the same time, we have to be able to recognize that people see things differently within our own homes, within our own relationships. 2 people can look at the same thing and see 2 different things. Of all my memories of Yitzhak, and there are so many, and by the way, look at the pictures that are attached to the email, and I attached one which I'm particularly fond of that we took on Purim a few years ago, and I hope you'll recognize that it's Purim. The picture should be self-evident. But whenever I would sit with Yitzhak, and he was always with the Chevra, he had such a unique chabura of Israeli friends. And we would talk about Israeli politics. And oh my gosh, you would think World War III is going to break out. And this one doesn't know what he's doing, and this one doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm right, and I'm left, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm this. And I sat there, but I enjoyed the discourse. And even though Yitzhak and I, we disagreed on a lot of things, particularly in Israeli politics, but it always ended with a hug and with a tear. Yitzhak was a hugger, and he was a crier. And he was always open and willing to hear someone else what they had to say, and he loved to share his own experiences. A few weeks ago, we mentioned the yahrzeit of his beloved brother, Amos, who died in the Yom Kippur War, and that was a very, very big part, important part of his life. And I will share the story here, and I've shared it, I don't know, probably dozens of times, but it gets me every single time. And one of the things that we always discuss when it comes time for Pesach, we better start planning. It's Cheshvan, it's almost Pesach. That I ask people around the Seder table, what's your earliest Seder memory? So most people say, well, I was 3 years old, 4 years old, in my grandparents' house, or whatever it might be. And Yitzhak said, I'll never forget this. He was sitting right to my right side around a huge table. And I was so happy that he was there because, he wasn't well. And he shared a story of how I think he was in his early 20s. He said 18, Barbara says he was in his 20s. And he was with relatives in Europe, I think it's Switzerland. And he goes to their Seder. And that's his first Seder memory. And he comes home to his parents and he says, well, how did I not know about this? How come you didn't tell me about this? You see, you understand that Yitzhak grew up on a kibbutz, on a left of a left kibbutz, a Shomer Tza'ir, where religion was not very high on the priority list. Certainly not religious rituals, and whatever they had, they were transformed into kibbutz rituals. And Yitzhak was a person who was able to embrace, learn, and absorb new ideas that were different from what he knew. And that was such a tremendous lesson to me that, by the way, it's never too late to learn about a Pesach Seder. It's never too late to come to shul, and you love to come to shul. And talk about the values of humanity. I'm sure that anyone who knew him, if they ever had any medical needs, consultation, connections needed to be made, that he was there for you. When you needed something, you needed a doctor, you needed a medical advice, he never hesitated, he dropped what he was doing to help you out. For that and for so much more, I feel so fortunate that I and my family, that we were able to know Yitzhak Berger. And I always made him cry. It was like a thing, I don't know why, but I always made him cry. I don't think it was me, I think he was a crier. But when I think about him, a tear comes to our eyes because he's so sorely missed. Barbara, you were the love of his life, and I'm tremendously I'm proud of how you've kept his legacy going the last 5 years. I can't believe it's 5 years. But he's not physically here, but he's here. He's very much here, very much a part of your life, and how you bring his entire existence into your family. And you should be blessed with good health and only good things. And we should celebrate Simchas together. So again, from the Neshama Yitzhak ben Eliyahu Vitzila Halevi, whose yahrzeit is Vav Mar Cheshvan. Again, tonight and tomorrow, his Neshama should have an Aliyah. I hope that we all have a good Shabbos, a healthy Shabbos. Let's remain healthy. I look forward to this next chapter in our shul life. And I think that, we should be more tolerant of others. We should recognize that not everybody thinks the way we do. And if we do that, then we'll be so successful in all of our endeavors. So, again, Neshama should have an Aliyah. I wish you all a good Shabbos, peaceful and restful Shabbos, and I will see you all very soon.